President Obama talking about the oil spill. We never thought in Michigan when we were watching that oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico that it could happen here. There was a lot of talk about drilling for oil in the Great Lakes, but we forgot, I guess, about the rivers. To bring you up to date on what's going on, cleanup crews said Thursday they have stopped the westward spread of oil heading down the Kalamazoo River. There are conflicting accounts, though, of how far the slick has spread and whether the oil continues to leak from the source. Calhoun County health officials are going to evacuate 30 to 50 more homes in the surrounding area where the pipeline leak happened. The owners have vowed to pick up the tab for those inconveniences having to do with the cleanup. And now Chicago Mayor Richard Daley's getting into the act. He wants a criminal investigation into the oil spill that dumped 1 million gallons into the waterway leading to Lake Michigan. In fact, he said, this is worse than Asian carp. So it's kind of a shot back at us for, I guess, all the shots we took at Chicago for possibly allowing those carp to get into the lake. He says, what about this oil you're sending my way? And it's former Governor James Blanchard, who is a member of the board of directors of the parent company of Enbridge Energy Partners, the company that caused the spill into the Kalamazoo River and maybe now into Lake Michigan. The CEO, Patrick Daniel, is apologizing for that spill. And a water advisory has been issued by Calhoun County Health Department that's in effect for those who have private wells that live within 200 feet of the Kalamazoo River bank from the Talmadge Creek to the Kalamazoo County line. So we're trying to keep up with this, but no better source than Governor Jennifer Granholm, who near the end of her 8-year term she's probably seen it all. But now they've really got the kitchen sink thrown at you, Governor, in the way of an oil spill, something I doubt any of us ever expected. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Michael Patrick?
Well, I'm curious to hear what you know. You've been out to the site. You've looked at it from the helicopter, and obviously you've been very critical of the response.
Yeah, I have been, and very concerned about how quickly the oil was spreading. Now, I'm glad I was critical. I'm glad I've talked to the EPA a number of times. Lisa Jackson, the administrator, in fact, I've invited her out here. I'm hopeful that she will be here in very short order to be able to tour it with me. I just want everybody to be aware of the vast expanse of this oil spill and the response so far. Now, all of that being said, yesterday there was a flurry of activity, and I'm grateful for that. There was a significant increase in the number of boom sites. That's the stuff that you can put on the top to be able to direct the oil into skimmers. There was an increase in the number of vacuum trucks. That's good. And they have the Coast Guard is engaged, which is terrific. The EPA has put a small vessel on Morrow Lake to be able to test the waters to ensure that the oil itself, and there's a difference between the oil sheen and the actual oil, the crude oil, because it was crude oil spill. The crude oil moves much more slowly, obviously, than a sheen of oil. And the sheen you can handle. The crude oil, obviously, is something you want to prevent from moving any further down. But the sheen, of course, is an early indicator of stuff moving in your direction. Bottom line, there is a much greater level of activity on the part of the federal government and on the part of the company as compared to 2 days ago, which is good. But there's a lot of work to do.
Is the oil no longer leaking? Do we know that for sure?
Well, the pipe has been shut down.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that there's not still oil slowly trickling out still, sort of residual. And that's what there's a team there now that is both skimming off that initial stuff that was coming out and that hopefully has been stopped. And there is a team there that's doing an investigation as to what was the cause and all of that. The investigation, obviously, that's going to go on. That's a look backward. But I'm much more focused at the moment, as is everybody, and they should be, on preventing any further spread of the oil spill.
Will the oil reach Lake Michigan?
I want to say I don't think so, but certainly everyone is focused on making sure that doesn't happen. Frankly, everyone is focused on making sure that the oil doesn't get beyond this Morrow Lake, because right beyond, downstream from this lake is this Superfund site with PCBs, and that we want to absolutely prevent the oil from getting to, and that's long before it reaches Lake Michigan. But everyone is correct in being very concerned and alarmed about, A, the spill to begin with, but B, the potential for it continuing to flow, and that flow into Lake Michigan, and that's exactly what everybody's focused on preventing.
I guess we're all getting an education here, but do we know why the leak started in the first place?
Well, you've heard, I'm sure, that they received a number of, the company, received a number of notices and about that particular pipeline, and that it was, they had performed, I read this morning, 100 repairs on that pipeline.
Oh.
So clearly there was not the level of investment in the pipeline to keep it solid, to keep it good. That, I think, is one indication that in the future and for our going forward look, that we have to examine and make sure that the companies are diligent, but not more than the companies, that the agencies responsible for overseeing this, that they are inspecting. We may need more inspectors, but that's true for pipes and it's true for underground storage tanks.
Have you spoken with former Governor Blanchard about the situation at all?
Yes, I have.
What's he saying?
Well, he's, I'm glad that he's on the board of this company because he certainly understands the importance of the Great Lakes and the passion we all feel about it, but the importance of the lakes to our state. He has conveyed back to the company that they have to do everything possible in order to make sure that this does not further spread. He's a big, advocate for Michigan on that board, but he's also, he was making sure that the company itself and that we knew that the company was a responsible company is what he said. I'm a little bit skeptical of, the company just because their interest is in minimizing. So I'm glad that the EPA, which is the federal government, is on the scene to ensure that there is an objective view. They are in charge, and that's why I'm trying to get the head of the EPA to get here today.
I'm sure in some respects it must be a bit embarrassing for Governor Blanchard, wouldn't you think?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to ask him about that, but okay. I do think it's important. I mean, it's good for us that he is there advocating from inside the company. You guys have got to do whatever it takes to clean it up, to stop this, and to prevent it from ever happening again.
Did we really need Mayor Daley weighing in on the situation?
Well, if I'm in Chicago, and obviously their livelihood depends on a vibrant Great Lakes, too, and they've taken a number of whacks from us about the Asian carp and shutting down the barrier. He's going to do what he's going to do. But I can understand why people are up in arms. We're up in arms, too. This is huge, and we want to make sure that it doesn't get worse.
All right. Thank you very much for the valuable time this morning. We greatly appreciate it.
All
the best to Governor Jennifer Granholm, the Democrat from Michigan.